Several funnel clouds spotted around the metro area, and yet another round of storms are coming through. Kathy has the latest on the threat level.
One teenager is dead tonight, a second one injured. This all allegedly after trying to steal a man's car.
A task force makes a big score in the local war against drugs. We'll get a look at the amount of narcotics that will never make it to the streets.
Of course, we start with the weather. Maybe fairly quiet out where you are. Not much rain or hail yet in the metro area, but several people have been spotting these funnel clouds. They've been seen out near DIA, but also in the area of Jewel and E470.
We want to get the latest on the forecast and any hail that could be coming our way. Here's a look at downtown and Boulder and Kathy.
Hi, you guys. So far, so good. We've missed out on the heavy rain and hail in downtown Denver, and the funnel clouds, the land spouts, kind of fun to look at when they're up in the clouds and not creating anything other than swirling dust at the surface. So let's hope that that trend continues. We had a slow start to get these storms going with mostly cloudy conditions, and then the sun came out, and now we're starting to see those clouds produce rain. 70 degrees currently in Denver, but our temperatures in the afternoon have been running about 10 degrees cooler than average. We're seeing high humidity, a nice ingredient for good thunderstorm development, and those storms could go late into the night as east to northeast winds push that moisture up against the foothills and keep it locked in place over the city and I-25, where a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until 10 o'clock. Castle Rock, Denver, up to Fort Collins, up into Cheyenne, and we're watching as these storms forming in the foothills are racing off to the east. They had a little bit of potential to drop hail in the foothills, but have not held together terribly well here as they moved across Denver. But again, a couple of funnel clouds, a land spout reported out near the Front Range Airport, but seen from E470 and Parker Road, Murphy Creek area and DIA, and a lot of lightning and rain potential still there. Thankfully, no reports of large hail, but that could be changing overnight as a couple of these cells could merge into what we call a supercell going late into the night out across extreme eastern Colorado. Because of that threat, Storm Prediction Center has Denver in the enhanced area for dangerous storms late into the evening, and we're seeing them come through between now and about 7:30 and then really kind of redevelop out onto the eastern plains, with that large hail threat really being the biggest thing that we'll be tracking tonight. 70s through the dinner hour with partly cloudy skies, still tracking the potential for storms here in Denver. We'll have another check of the radar coming up in just a bit.
A new look at that flooded mess at Red Rocks on July 4th. There was a downpour during the Blues Traveler concert. This video was taken near the lower level bathrooms, so similar to what we saw June 21st. That one sent hail and rain on the concert goers that were running for shelter. Just a huge amount of rain, nowhere to go, so it just pours down the streets of the stairs.
And the National Weather Service just said that also on June 21st, a couple of weeks ago, there were a whopping 36 tornadoes that touched down on the eastern plains in Logan and Washington counties. While many of them were weak and dissipated quickly, some lasting less than a minute, a few did reach EF2 intensity over portions of Washington County. That number, 36 by far the most confirmed tornadoes to hit our state in one day. The previous record, May 17th of 2000, when 27 were reported. We have a breakdown of the report on our website at 9news.com. Of course, cities spend thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars every year to water parks and landscaping and golf courses. But this year, all the free water from Mother Nature means some serious savings. Jennifer Meckles is looking into just how much and what happens with all that extra money, and she'll have more details coming up at 6 o'clock on Next. A dozen homes in Broomfield have been evacuated due to a gas leak there. North Metro Fire says they're investigating the gas line near Westlake and Grove Way, which is around Centennial Elementary, east of the Broomfield Commons open space. Firefighters say there's an underground natural gas leak with a visible crack in the road. Broomfield police say homes were evacuated as a precaution. Excel is now on the scene working on repairs.
While stolen cars are a problem across Colorado, police do not want people to confront or shoot at would-be thieves, and that's what Aurora police say happened last night. And a man is now arrested for killing one teen and hurting another after police say they tried to steal a car. 9 News journalist Aaron Adelson explains why police believe this is murder.
When I left for work at 3 a.m. this morning, this whole street was filled with officers.
Aurora police continue to investigate this morning after investigators say 27-year-old Aura Shore shot two teens, killing one. Late Wednesday night, police say Shore confronted the suspects outside his home on East 59th Place. APD says the suspects drove away in a different stolen car. Shore got into his car and pursued them while shooting. The teens crashed around the corner here, and police say Shore then fired more shots. A neighbor down the street says he had his car stolen days ago.
I'm not surprised that there's carjackings and a lot of violence going on in this area.
Ben Diaz says he knew his car was getting stolen, but did not want to go outside and risk his life. He says police should be more proactive.
Even if they were just doing patrols, nightly patrols throughout our neighborhood, because they know it's happening here, that would be great, but you don't see any of that.
3 weeks ago in Aurora, police say a person got shot in the leg after confronting thieves. In mid-June, police advised people not to do that.
You don't know when they're armed, and obviously in this situation they were. If you see something like that, maybe you can shout from a distance.
Police say Shore confronted the teens, pursued them, and shot at them. 9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson explains why he thinks police arrested Shore.
The line is very clear. You simply cannot use deadly force merely to protect property. It doesn't matter if it's your beloved truck or a piece of sculpture on your lawn.
Robinson says deadly force can only be used to defend yourself or others. In Aurora, Aaron Adelson, 9 News.
And Scott Robinson reminds people the Make My Day law only applies within a person's home.
Early this morning, Lakewood police got reports of people driving a car around and throwing fireworks out of the car, targeting homeless encampments. Several people who live on the streets of West Colfax told our Katie Eastman that their friend was burned in the chest and face when a firework was thrown at her while she slept. Katie joins us now. Do you have any update on how they're doing today?
Yeah, Tom, several of the people I talked to are concerned for their friend who was hit, but honestly don't seem that surprised by that kind of hate directed at them. There was a housing manager from a day shelter going around checking on people. She said she's also taking care of several of her clients who were burned. People who live on West Colfax and in motels around the area said a white car was circling the block at Teller and Colfax. The people inside were yelling things at them and throwing fireworks at them. One man said the car almost hit him and he threw a brick through the back window shield. That's when a Lakewood police sergeant who was in the area intervened. That sergeant fired a gunshot at the white car because they thought the driver was trying to hit them. No one inside was injured by the shot. None of the people who were hit by the fireworks went to the hospital, but beyond physical healing, there's emotional healing too.
What joy do you get out of hurting someone that's already out here doing what they can to survive, doing what they can to just be, you know? Like, what joy do you get out of that? That's a different kind of evil.
It breaks my heart because it's like, I feel like it's hard enough out here for us, like as it is, and the weather's changing, it's up and down, just for people to have shelter. Now you have to worry, like you just don't know like what to expect of like just random like violence. I mean,
Lakewood police did take 2 suspects into custody, but they have been released pending charges as the investigation continues. So we do expect some kind of update later on.
Any idea about what those charges might be? Have police talked to you about that at all?
Police are keeping silent on that, so we will just find out hopefully within the next few days what happens.
All right, Katie, thanks. $5 million worth of drugs will not be making it to Denver streets. The Metro West Drug Task Force says that they'd been working undercover for 9 months. They were able to stop the alleged drug trafficking efforts of some 16 suspects. Officers say in the end they confiscated 325,000 fentanyl pills, 1.5 pounds of fentanyl powder, which they say could have resulted in 350,000 fentanyl doses. They also took in more than 400 pounds of methamphetamine, 3 kilos of cocaine, and a pound of heroin, along with 17 firearms that had been reported stolen. A grand jury indicted all 16 suspects on 116 felony charges. Court documents allege that the drugs came in from a Mexican cartel.
Colorado Senate Republicans are pushing for Governor Polis to call a special session to address the state Supreme Court ruling that requires all suspects, even murder suspects, to have bond hearings. The Republican lawmakers say letting those suspects potentially get out of custody poses a significant public threat. And they argue it needs to be addressed now and not during next year's session. They also want a special session to deal with the big property tax increases so many homeowners are facing. The senators say the initiative to ask voters to okay using Tabor money to lower taxes was rushed and ill-conceived. They want to establish an immediate and thoughtful property tax policy. Governor Polis's office tells us he won't be calling a special session, saying he does want the legislature to address the bail issue. But he said allowing voters to cut the tax hikes is common sense.
Denver Mayor Michael Hancock is no longer pushing for an outside company to handle migrant sheltering in the city. The mayor issued a statement today saying there's still too much work to do before the new mayor, Mike Johnston, is sworn in on July 17th. The $40 million contract for the company Garda World was proposed to try and alleviate staffing problems. The city had hoped it would also save money for managing incoming migrants. So far, Denver has helped and sheltered more than 12,000 migrants at a cost of nearly $20 million.
No swimming at Cherry Creek State Park for now or at Chatfield. CPW says the water is contaminated.
And we'll have the latest on 2 wildfires that continue to burn in Colorado coming up.